out there in the file. They're out in my office in a file. Okay? And so when we talked the other day, I went out and got Kenny's file. And I looked in there, and it was May of 1976 when he did his mischief. And then after he was on parole, he was caught twice with a concealed weapon. It's all in there. Now, that's the last I've got. I don't have anything else. I don't know what he's done recently. I never paid it. Because I don't care. I don't do this, Scott. I'm not looking for people to dig up dirt on them and like the pod people, we call them.
Right.
I've had a busy life. I've been very busy my whole life.
Right.
And I have tried to be constructive, not destructive.
Exactly. And I totally agree with that. I don't go around looking for dirt on people. And
no.
One of the reasons why I started doing the interviews with people in Ohio is because I kept hearing there were three people's names that constantly kept popping up when I talked to almost anybody who had any kind of long-term involvement in the Native community up there in Ohio, and that was Guy Jones, Kenneth Irwin, and Kay Jimerson. And we'll talk about her in just a minute. But the reason why I ask about these people is because it seems that they have such an impact. They have such a large impact on the Native community throughout Ohio, and they seem to hold some kind of clout in the community. And I'm not digging dirt up on them. The dirt's already there. I'm not going to pick a fight with them. The fight has already been brought to us, and I'm not saying that they brought a fight to me, personally, but because I'm a member of Saponi Nation of Ohio, I have an interest in the way that the Saponi and the Cherokee people are treated in the state of Ohio. And when I kept hearing these names, I wanted to find out, okay, well, are these stories true? Or what exactly is the problem with these people that they would go around saying that the Telegee, Cherokee, or that the Saponi Nation of Ohio, or the United Remnant Band Shawnee, or any of the other Shawnee tribes, or any of the other Indian tribes that are there in Ohio, why would they go around attacking them if they're from a reservation out west and they already have their federal recognition? What more do they want? They have access. They have access that the majority of us do not have because they're federally recognized. People will say, oh, well, just because you're federally recognized, you don't get money, and you don't get this, and you don't get that. Well, that's not true. A federally recognized Indian has access to programs that were specifically set up to help the Native American community. And because of the definitions of who a Native American is, that can vary from state to state. So you could have a reservation in South Dakota, and maybe some of the people on that reservation aren't getting help, while another reservation somewhere else, they have a really good program set up for them, and they're getting help.
Well,
I'll
tell you something about this help.
For us, we don't.
They are allotted so much money.
Yeah.
But you see, it's whoever is dispersing that money.
Exactly.
And that money, okay, now they write me letters here wanting me to give money because this poor old lady's freezing to death out there on one of them reservations. You know why? Because some men mostly, and women too, they drink that money up and they buy dope with it.
Or the council has corruption.
Yes, and this money doesn't get to the old people and the children. That's not my fault. That's not my fault. You see, why isn't Guy Jones out there seeing to it that those people, that money is given to them, distributed evenly.
Exactly.
Why isn't he out there doing that?
How come he's not on their council at Standing Rock making sure that the programs that are being suggested or made up are implemented correctly to help?
Why isn't Kenny Irwin out there doing that for the people?
At Pine Ridge, right.
Why isn't Mark Rush out there doing something for these people? Because he's so skilled, you know.
We have people there in Ohio that, we have homeless people. We've got people who are on drugs or alcohol that need help. We have people who can't get food, people who can't find work, people who are in need, and yet they're just wannabes. They're just after money. Well, no one, none of these people that I've encountered or spoken with have been oriented around money. They've been oriented around legitimacy, trying to simply say, my ancestors were this, and we want recognition so that we can better our community circumstances, not personal circumstances.
You know what I want to do?
Community circumstances.
I want to give people back some of their pride.
Yeah.
I want them to stand up and say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm fighting for. See, we had 200 more years of white man before they got out west. At least 200 years more of them.
Yeah.
We were beaten down farther than the western people were, say. Oh, yeah. See, they don't consider that. But still, we were a conquered nation of people. We were conquered, okay? The white man writes the history. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. He writes it, okay?
Right.
And what are we going to say? We would like to be able to step up to bat and say, this is not right. There's no Hope Willadina Indians. Get that out of the school books. And the misrepresentations that they have made, we would like to correct that. That's why we want recognition. I don't want it because I want money, and my family don't need money. They're well cared for. I mean, all my family's working. My grandchildren are working. I have great grandchildren that's entering college this year. Okay, because we dwell and we hone on education. Okay, but now yes, my daughters went to school on minority money. They got grants out of the minority funds, not native funds. It's out of the minority funds. Okay, but they got it because of their Indian blood. Okay, but it was not native money. It was allotted to Ohio for the minority people.
Right, minority grants for scholarships and such.
Yes, and my daughters got minority grants. Okay, and it helped out tremendously. So, but they did get their education. When you guys were dealing with the state trying to set up a commission for Indian Affairs, and Guy Jones was there, and they came out and said, "Oh well, you can sit on this council, but you won't have a vote." Do you think that if the state had already recognized the Indians in Ohio, that your voices would have counted more? Oh yes. And you know what? Most people, okay. Now the native people from this state look down there, and because when I see the first place, this bill was drafted. This was drafted from the what was the name of that? It was some California. It was a California law school. Gosh, it escaped my head. But anyway, it was drafted right from their from their writings. Okay, from this law school out west, and it was taken right out of there. And it did not make provisions for native people with Santa Clara Law Review is what it was. Okay. and it did not make provisions for individuals or families with oral history. It was only people from tribes, or it had a whole big line of stuff which did not apply to the people in Ohio. So we wanted to attach, you can, rather than to go back through committee with a bill, you can coattail certain things. That's what they call it. I'm sure they got a better name for it on the floor, but that's the common words, coattail. When the bill's put up, you stand up and say, we'd like to make this amendment. That's the good word they use, amendment. And we wanted to amend to just put this provision in there that people first thing we wanted was this 7-member panel of council. 5 members seated, 2 on alternative members, and 3 people to be considered a quorum in case of emergency. Now that was the first provision. The second provision was the committee to have power to recognize people with individuals and families with oral history. That was the second provision. Now that's what we wanted to coattail that bill with, okay? But see, they killed it before it even got started.
Now, the only problem I think that I was being told now, and I don't know if it was correct. I mean, I was speaking with Lewis about this, and I think this was the last bill that you were involved with in trying to get put through. But there was a provision in the bill that would have grandfathered in the United Remnant Band Shawnee.
That was already in the bill.
That was in the bill. Okay.
That was in the bill. See, now, because the United Remnant bill had Mr. what was his name? Anyway, a representative.
Jamie Oxendine?
No, he didn't have nothing to do with none of it.
Okay.
A representative.
Oh, okay.
That presented for the first time. And he left the representative, he left the House, and was shooed into the Senate, because the Senate member left, see. And then someone filled his seat. Well, I had this friend from Cleveland who was put into the Senate the same way to a vacate, and then he was placed in there. So he carried the bill in its present form in there and tried to get it through, and that's what happened. Was it didn't even make it to the floor because of the people objecting to it. We didn't change the bill because we didn't want to go back through the House, through the committee. So, it's a long process, but no, nothing like that was. But we did not say anything about the remnant band, because the remnant band, it didn't make any difference. If we got that committee seated, they would have to go in front of the committee same as everybody else. So what made a difference?
I think that was the main sticking point.
Well, that is just petty little jealousy. That's all it is.
Well, I don't know. If the bill's going to as far as the state of Ohio is concerned, if a bill is going to grandfather in one tribe of people, I don't think that's fair. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, you see, what I'm telling you is it didn't make any difference. That did not make one bit of difference, because those people would not be granted the card that would be issued unless they were legitimate and coming from the council. See? So it doesn't make any difference if they're grandfathered in. Or what difference does it make? They're still not going to have any letter of recognition or anything. It's not going to make any difference.
I thought the bill was specifically about recognizing them as a state recognized.
No, it was. See, that's what I'm telling you. See, that's what people don't understand about the legislative process. The legislative process is the bill is there. Now they've read the bill. Okay, now somebody stands up and say, we'd like to make this amendment. Blah, 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 blah. We want to seat this committee. They will be the people who recognize who is Indian in the state. Okay. And then it makes provisions for people, families, and individuals with oral history. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter if he's grandfathered in there, so I'm grandfathered into this bill. Okay, where's the card? Well, you don't have it, do you? And maybe if he'd come in front of the committee, he would have it. But he would have it as an individual, not as a tribe, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to recognize tribes. We're going to recognize individuals. Okay? So that's how it works. And you could not get it through these hard-headed Indian people's head that let remnant band be in there. It doesn't matter. They still have to come in front of the committee, individually in front of the committee. Okay? So that was why I had problems with these people. You could not, and I want to tell you something. Golden Eagle is one of the most hard-headed people I've ever encountered. I love him dearly, but I'm telling you something. I'd sooner talk to that coal bucket.
Now, who's he?
Well, it's the pony people. What was his name?
I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah, well, the one you told me that you had an interview with.
Louis Bolin?
Yes, Louis Bolin.
So his Indian name is Golden Eagle?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
I mean, when we went up there and met with the governor, all he could talk about was how much money the Latina people was getting, how much money the black people were getting. Louis, it doesn't matter how much money they're getting. That's not what we're here about. Louis, please, it's not. Every time they come right back up with that money again, see, and that really angered me. Because now I like him. He's a very generous and wonderful person. But if he shut up about that money, see, because I could care less what the Latina people's getting. Has nothing to do with who I am.
Mm-hmm. I think, and I don't know because I wasn't there, but just from talking with him, I think his point about that is that the state of Ohio has a commission for the Latino community, the African American community, and so on, but they don't have one for the Native American community.
Well, all he talked about was the money.
So he was just talking about the money at that point.
You know, if he just had talked about the commission, I would have said, yeah, but, you know, no, he knew exactly how much money they got and everything, which I don't know, and I don't care. It's none of my business, okay? I don't tend to that. I'm a very busy person, Scott. I've always been busy. I've been busy my whole life. I don't tend to other people's business as a rule, okay? I tend to whatever I can tend to.
Right.
And my family was come first. I tend to them first, okay?
That's what I was telling this girl named Valerie Starr Neely. Her name also was Valerie Hindman, and she was telling me that was trying to tell me that she's got friends that send this, that, and the other out to these different reservations out west, and I kept telling her, and she lives in Highland County, and I kept saying, well, how come you don't help people in Highland County? And she said, well, I got a trailer full of stuff one time, and no one would take it. They said they weren't related to me, and they wouldn't take it, so she had to call the United Way or whatever to come and get it. And I just kept thinking to myself, okay, well, how come you didn't try to call some of the Indian centers, first? But so I've heard,
they just think it sounds good.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
It's like this. It's like this popular thing. Oh, well, I sent blankets out to Pine Ridge, or oh, I sent this out to the Navajo, or oh, I sent this out to this reservation. Well, how about your own people? How about the people who live in tar paper shacks?
How about going up here to school and asking the principal, now, is there some children in here that need shoes? As the teachers, have they noticed any children with that their clothes just aren't quite up to par and that might need coats? I've done it. Okay? I went and asked, and I don't want my name involved, but I have found out what size shoes and what size coat, and I bought things for them. And they were given to those children with no names attached, okay? I didn't need somebody to pat me on the back. I had a little bit of extra money, and I helped those children. I didn't give it to the parents so they could go buy some dope and alcohol. No, I bought the stuff for those children, okay? And I've done it. And I was pretty happy with myself when I did it. I didn't send that money out west, okay? It was right here in Thornville that these little kids had shoes on their feet. You know, nice leather shoes that they could walk through the snow with, instead of that little ragged tennis shoe that they had on, you know. Yeah.
Now when I was listing off the three people that I keep hearing about, I had mentioned why am I drawing a blank? I mentioned Kay Jimerson. Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences with Kay Jimerson?
Well, mainly it's a series of comedy eras. Okay, that's the way I figured. Because see, I never gave her credit for being anything other than a loudmouth know-it-all who knew nothing. Now this is true. I mean, I really did not even give her a second thought. I mean, I hang up the phone and she's out of my mind, because I don't dwell on unpleasant things, okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, she called me on the phone and well, who gave you permission? And I said, get out of my face, you so-and-so, you cow. I don't need permission from anybody. I'll do whatever in the hell I want to do when I want to do it. Now, when I've done something against the law, they'll be here and put me in jail. And until then, you stay out of my face. You leave me alone. Well, she didn't bother me anymore. But anyway, you see, she is Indian by what we call Indian by insertion. You get my meaning?
So she married someone who's
You are right. you get the grand prize. You said the right thing. Well, see, she was over there in Xenia. I think she was in with this woman called Betty Lowmiller over in Xenia. They had an Indian center. Now this is all second-handed, so now I can't prove anything. I don't even want to. Don't even care, really. Never cared. But when they had that big tornado through there in Xenia, she and Betty Lowmiller, the popular consensus was that they made off with a lot of that money. I got no idea whether they did or not. I don't care. But Betty Lowmiller went over into West Virginia and bought a farm, and she's no longer Lowmiller. She's something else, okay? And was by the time she bought the farm. And so Kay Jimerson just kept hanging around, but she hung around that veterans complex there in Dayton, Ohio. And here was poor old Dan Jimerson. He was so shell-shocked and battle fatigue and so forth until he just shuffled around. You know, they said, it's time to go eat, Dan. And he shuffled in, and they set him down at the table, and he ate. And it's time to go back to the rec hall. And they got him up, and he shuffled back to the rec hall. It's time to go to bed, and he shuffled in and went to bed. So that's the condition he was in. And when he got well enough that he could shuffle out and get in the car with Kay Jimerson, and then finally he learned to say yes and no, and I think so, and yes, and maybe, and I do, and she took him down and married him. Now that's the word that came to me. I don't know, and I don't care. But then she became the mightiest Indian that ever lived. She was sitting in the Indian seat. So she was going to tell everybody in the state what they could do and what they couldn't do. I told her to get out of my face, and she never bothered me again. So. Kind
of like Quinn the Eskimo, how whenever he gets there, everybody's going to lose control.
Gosh, she was going to tell everybody what to do. Well, you know, now clean up your own act before you tell me what to do, okay?
Exactly.
Now, you know, I had two husbands. My first husband passed away. I had two husbands, and the last one I was married to him for 47 years. I was married to the same man for 47 years. And he had a stroke, and he was paralyzed on his right side for 5 months before he passed away. I sat beside of him every single day, 7 days a week. I took care of that man. Now, he was in the care center because he had to have nursing care, but I was beside of him every day. I was down there by 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I left around 5 o'clock, and one of my children showed up at that time, and they stayed with him to 8:30, 9 o'clock until he went to bed, until the nurses put him, in bed. He was never alone. He was not abandoned. He was a Narragansett Indian. My husband was a Narragansett Indian. And my children stood over top of their father. They all had their hands on him when he died, okay? They was holding on to their daddy and stroking him and telling him, "It's all right, Daddy. We know you have to go on your journey." And they sang a song to him. They sang to him. And they said they had to sing to him because that's what he done. All their life, he would sing to them. He played the guitar and sang to them all the time. Now, to me, that's what counts. That family is what counts. Those children holding on to their daddy while he was passing, going on his journey. I'm sitting right there beside of him. But to see my children holding him and caring for him and loving him, I think maybe that's the way I'll go on my journey, with my children holding me and telling me it's all right. So this is how I've lived my life, Scott. And this is how I treat my friends. I know a lot of people just think Oliver Collins is the worst person in the world, but he's like a brother to me. I love him dearly, him and his wife. They're the dearest people I know, and I love them, and I'd do anything to help them. Anything.
Yeah, he's certainly been treated very badly in the state of Ohio.
I mean, he's made some mistakes. That's true.
And he admits that. I mean, when I did my interview with him, he talked about that. And he was very open about how things happened and everything.
But he's done some good things too.
Yeah, he's done some
good things. Okay, so let's dwell on what he's done good. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I love him. He's been so kind to me and my family, and I know of hundreds of people that he's been kind to, okay? And yet they're the first ones to snicker. Well, no, not all of them. There's a lot of faithful people out there. I don't want to say it like, everybody. No, that's not true. But see, family is what counts to me, okay? My family.
Family defines us as Indian. That's what defines an Indian. Our families define us as who we are.
Well, I think my family's pretty strong. And I raised them to have respect for their daddy, and I hope for me. I mean, I'm still here, but I'm still happy, and I have my children stopping in here, checking on me, my son. I spend every Sunday morning with my son. Every Sunday morning. He usually picks me up somewhere around 9:30, and we're together till probably 1 o'clock or 1:30 every Sunday morning. So, because he's missing his left leg. He's in a wheelchair, and so he comes and picks me up, and we go over to Newark, and we have breakfast together, and if he wants to shop someplace, we go there shopping. If I need something, we go there, And it's really wonderful to have that time with him, because he's so busy all week. He has a very big caseload, and because he does family law. And he tries to help children and women who are having trouble, some abused women and that kind of thing. That's the kind of law he does. He doesn't make a lot of money, but he doesn't care whether he makes a lot of money. He does what he has to do, okay? And that's what he thinks he has to do. That's what he's happy doing. If he can help somebody keep their children and get rid of an abusive person. It's a man, sometimes it's men that's abused, But that's what he does. And he's happy doing it. And I think that's what matters. Are you happy with what you're doing? Mm-hmm. Are you making a difference in this world? You ought to see the cards he gets. I've encouraged him to make sure he keeps all of them. The letters and the cards he gets from people that he's helped, that never had representation, never had money to hire anybody to help him. And he seriously takes every case seriously, okay? So that's the kind of man I raised. He may be in a wheelchair, but he's got a wonderful mind, okay? And he gives me advice behind the scenes. If I need advice about Native people, he'll tell me, and I can tell them where to go and what to do, and And I'm not interpreting. I'm not practicing law because he tells me exactly. Well, you tell him to go to this place or that place, or what to do. And he helps a lot of Native people with just little advice like that, legal advice. So.
Now you were telling me before a little bit about Mark Welsh.
Well, Mark Welsh he's one of those gray areas that you don't know what to say about him. Now he came out here when we had trouble with the mound. I was telling you about when they dug through it. He stayed right there. He was really good. See, he was born in Licking County, where those mounds are. He was raised there. He says he's Mohawk and I don't know, Dakota, I don't know which one, but anyway, it's Siouan Nation. And hey, that's what he is. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care. It's fine with me. I mean, But when he's around all them people, he won't even speak to me. I just laugh at him. I don't care. He doesn't speak to me. But then, I worked a lot with this Ohio State University here in Newark, Ohio, the branch, because my kids went there. Two of my children graduated from there, and so far, I think 3 of my grandchildren graduated from there. So I just was there, and this one professor, Professor Shields, he was, I don't know, he got involved with Friends of the Mounds for some reason. I don't know how he got in there, but anyway, I got talking to him, and we became just people who talked to each other, I wouldn't say friends, but then I introduced Mark and Carol to all that bunch over there at the university. And of course then I never heard that Carol said anything about me, okay? But I did hear that Mark had told him that, well, you can't deal with her, she's not federally recognized. You take federal money and you have to deal with federally recognized tribe. So they built themselves right in. And that's okay, I didn't care. I don't sit around and worry about little jealousy crap like that. It's just a time waster. So, but they told him all kinds of things like, oh well, there's no proof that she's an Indian. Well, I never tried to prove to them that I was an Indian.
Right. So how could they even say that when there was, they've never even had that discussion with you?
No. So, but anyway, then you see, okay, I would not go do ceremonies, okay? Do ceremonies. Well, I'm not a medicine person. I'm not a spiritual leader. Now, why would I go do ceremony? No, I don't have to do false things for money, okay? I would not do it. So, but then, see, when the Indian Center became involved, and Dr. Shields says, oh, we need a ceremony. They ran right down there and done a ceremony. Now, I wonder how many ceremonies the Sioux people have, because they stormed, winched off a tree in the Circle Mound plot there around it, and they had somebody come in with one of those little power saws, and carve out a deer in this tree, base of this tree. They made a deer, a bear. They made a bear out of it.
Okay.
A bear. So they got the Indian Center to come down and do a ceremony. Now I wonder what the old Sioux people would say about the ceremony. Did they have a ceremony for a storm-damaged tree? I doubt it. Don't you? I mean, they might have had now. I'm not saying they didn't.
You never know.
And then here comes Horn and Hy-Vee. Those are two professors from over in Indiana. They somehow or the other came up with this idea that the Indian people built the Octagon Mound because the moon came up right here in this particular spot every 18.5 years. Now, we did not have American electric power. We did not build those mounds in the dark because we didn't have light. We built them in the daytime. Our people built those mounds in the daytime. They didn't stumble around out there dragging a skin full of dirt up on top of there in the nighttime. They didn't do it. See, they were not nocturnal. They bedded down with their wife and children and with their cook fire. When the sun went into the west, they settled down. See, they didn't work at night. Okay. But these Horn and Hy-Vee came along and said, "Oh, the moon comes up there." And I told them, I said, "You come on out to the farm, boys, and you can just sit down behind any of my fence posts, and you'll find the moon will come up." You can line up them fence posts with any rising of the moon you want to. I said. So they put this big thing on about the moonrise, and it was all crap, every bit of it. It was something to get grants and to arouse people and to get people involved with the various things at the university. But they wanted Indian people to come out there and do something. Well, so the Indian Center, they was going to do it. I wasn't going to. So I fell into disfavor with them, okay? Simply because I wouldn't do ceremonies. Well, I know our ceremonies, and I know what ceremonies we have, and I know when we have them. It has nothing to do with a storm-damaged tree or the moon coming up in a certain spot. We have, okay, I was brought up with this. This is the one thing that I always remember, because most people can identify with it. We celebrated the coming of summer, the first full moon after the blackberries bloom. Now that's how we did our ceremonies. We had a reason to do it. And it was whatever was blooming or coming into fruiting okay, we had two current corn ceremonies. Now people only have one now, but we had two. We had a ceremony when the corn tasseled, and we had a ceremony when we came in where we was going to eat it, our first eating of the corn. And then we had a ceremony when we went back, because we would go back into the mountains. In the spring, we'd come down into a valley somewhere near a stream to put our crops in. And when we gathered our crops, we dried our corn and dried our beans and dried our squash. And when the forgiveness ceremony. That was something we had, say. That was so we cleansed everybody's soul and got everybody on the friendly basis. And then we would have the booger dance, where certain men had these masks and they would sing the booger dance song and sweep the village with pine boughs to get rid of all the bad spirits in the village. So these were things we did when we went back into the mountain. And then in December, it was up in December, according to the white man's calendar, because it was the burning bush ceremony, when a certain bush was turning red. And we would count all of our provisions. Now, take this much to get me through the winter. I'm keeping this much for my family. And all the excess that I had, I put outside to share. This was to go. Some of it, somebody would come along and say, "Well, I had more beans than I needed, so can I trade them for some of that squash that you have?" Sure, okay. And this is the thing that went on. And the elders control that to see that everybody done things evenly. And then the food was put in a community store, so that if people come through the village hungry, there was food to feed them. And that's how that was called our burning bush ceremony. Okay. So you see, I know when we have the ceremonies, and I don't go out and invent a ceremony to please people. Now, what I say to them, look, I would be glad to just come and have a prayer with you if that's what you need. We'll come and all of us will pray. We will join hands, and each one of us will say a prayer. But I won't have a ceremony for something that there is no ceremony for. So now that is what the Indian Center has been doing at the university. And right now, they're on a march. Okay, you can't believe this. There's something called the Hopewell Road. I don't know if you've heard of it. Well, it's there. It's there. But a lot of people denied it, but I told this archaeologist, I said, I know it's there. My people have always known it's there. But it's so chopped up now, with railroads and highways and towns and but it's there. So somehow or the other, he got a hold of a plane with a ground penetrating radar, and they sort of mapped it out. And he was right, I know he was right, but I sort of kept in the background. I didn't say anything, except I talked to him about it. And so now this Professor Richard Shields, this is one more thing, see, that they have to collect money for the native traditions, but we're not here. Now you don't understand. They're getting grants to do these things, for native things, but native people aren't here anymore. See, they deny that we're here.
Yeah, right.
And they figure this out now.
They don't recognize you as being there, but they'll go after these grants.
And we're not included. They've got Western Indians included in it. That's all they've got. And they're marching. They're doing this march. See, I don't even know how they phrase it. It's so silly. I just wipe it out of my mind, because. Well, we're going to march, we're going to follow this road. Well, you can't follow that road because you have to go through somebody's building, Or if you have to go, take up the track, or you have to cross these highways. I mean, there's all kinds of silly things like that. But they got a big grant, see, and they're doing that right now. So, but now they never ask any of us. It's all Western people, see. So you see, this is why they have to deny that we exist, because they're being paid to do this. They're being paid to go on this trek with these people. Students from Ohio State University. part of it. I'm not going to do any part of it because I'm not going to have a ceremony. I'm not going to go make up a ceremony because some tree got rinsed off in the storm. So that's why they don't like me. Okay. And we had a burning bush ceremony over to the mound, and we collected food for the food pantry. I said, I'm well provided for. I have a home. I have food, and most of the people I know have. So the people who had sufficient food, we all came together and we collected food, and we took cash donations because they can buy food through that center, real cheap. And we raised money. We raised food and money, and gave it to that center that dispenses food to people that need it.
The food bank?
Yes, the food bank. But we gave to them. We didn't take something. We didn't ask for anything. We gave to them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So shame on us. we don't know the value of a storm-damaged tree. No, I don't, except that you cut this sucker up and you build a fire. And you stay warm by it, okay?
Well, I know this interview's running kind of long, and
I don't care.
I know.
Do you?
No, I don't. I know that I want to do another interview with you in the future, but I wanted to get on the topic of forgiveness because that's come up quite a bit in the last couple of weeks on the Saponi Descendants Association Facebook page, and when I did an interview with Lewis, I talked about the idea that people can be forgiven for their actions, and if they truly are seeking what's the word? Trying to think of the word that they always use when someone's trying to make amends. So if someone's truly trying to make amends and they're apologizing for whatever actions that they did, whatever words that they said, then I think that we all of us are able to forgive. But I put the question out there: can you forgive someone who is in the very act of violating you in the moment? And I got some very interesting responses, but I wanted to put this to you, that if at some point in the future, let's say if Guy Jones decided that, okay, well maybe he did do something wrong or said something wrong, and he were to attempt to apologize for whatever actions or words that he has said or done that have offended so many of the Native people in Ohio, do you think that that's something that could happen? Do you think that that's a possibility?
Well, I think one thing you need to understand, that when we have the forgiveness ceremony, we have all the people in a circle. You are asking forgiveness in front of a whole group of people. You're not over in the corner somewhere whispering to somebody. You're asking publicly for forgiveness. Okay? And if he would ask publicly for forgiveness, yes, I'm sure that we could do that, okay? But not if he's over in the corner whispering and then going on abusing other people. You have to be willing to give up all that kind of rhetoric. And understand that we all live on this earth, and we are all going to disappear from this earth over things just like he's doing. That is going to be the undoing of Native people all over. Because somebody's going to be pointing a finger and denying a group of people. And once you deny that group of people, then somebody will come along and deny you.
Exactly.
See?
it's kind of like what's going on with the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. They have this Task Force Cherokee, and they have people like John and David Cornsilk that go around calling, doing the wannabe hunter thing, calling people wannabes and fake Indians and whatnot. And then here they are. I just read an article yesterday where the acting chief, this Crittenden fellow, tells Larry Echohawk that they're not going to abide by it. They don't care about the BIA rules, and yet they're going around, destroying entire states' recognition processes like they did in Tennessee, because they want everyone else to abide by BIA rules and regulations. And it's
see, you have to think a little bit deeper into this.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. See, in 1978, the United States made a rule that we had a right. We had a right to our spirituality. Now, we did not have a recognized right to that until 1978, when they passed a law. They had to pass a law. So, they said that we had a right to follow our spirituality and have access to our sacred sites. It's 1978 that said that. Okay. Now, what makes people think that we don't have the right to say who we are if we have the right to say this? Now, I don't know if I'm getting far afield of what you've asked me. But see, we don't have an individual right to destroy other people. And when they get through, okay, now some man, and I don't know who it was now, it escapes me, but somewhere in history, and it was during World War II, this fellow wrote these words, and he said, they came for the Polish people.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Niemöller?
Well, it says, I don't remember who did it. But they came for the Polish people, and I said nothing because I was not Polish. They came for another group of people, and I said nothing because I was not whomever they were. They came for the Jews, and I said nothing because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. See, that's what's going to happen to Native people. Exactly.
Yeah, Martin Niemöller.
Okay.
Was his
now
name.
that's very good words. And he laid it all out there, plain as day. And that's what Native people are doing to each other. I never deny who someone is. I don't know. Mark Welch, he says he's Mohawk and Sioux, and that's okay with me. I don't have a problem with it, see. Why would I have a problem? I don't care. Now, my birth certificate says my mother was white, and she told every doctor when she had a baby that she was a Cherokee Indian. And you know what they said? I can't put it on there because they won't let it go through the Vital Statistic Bureau. I don't know, have you ever heard the word Dr. Plecker?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, he directly affected our families.
Yes, he had that eugenic movement, say.
Yeah, he was part of the eugenics record office.
Yes, and West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia, and part of Southern Ohio. There's a lot of places that took part of that. See, and we were right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And they would not say that my mother was Indian. Would not. And it says she's white on all their birth certificates. Well, I can't help that. I have no control of it. And it says that Mark Welch was white, and he didn't have any control of that, I'm sure. Whoever he says he is, that's who he is as far as I'm concerned. But why does he have to go around and align himself with people like Guy Jones and Kenny Irwin? And close the Indian Center?
and ride a fence of neutrality when it comes to state recognition. Now I know that they wrote a letter. I think it was when the elder Walker was alive whenever that happened. They wrote a letter of support. No. It did. I think it did say Mark Welsh on it.
No, Mr. Welsh wouldn't have. Mr. Walker wouldn't have done anything like that.
I don't have the letter in front of me, but there was a letter that the NACO Center had given to Saponi Nation of Ohio, a letter of recognition or support, but subsequently to that, when involving issues that have to do with state recognition, they ride the fence of neutrality. And I've asked this I've been asking this question: how can an Indian center stay neutral when it comes to a recognition process for the state's tribes, when that recognition would help to better circumstances of those tribes in the state of Ohio?
That's a way of denial.
It would give the tribes in the state of Ohio a type of legitimacy that they do not currently enjoy. It would give a voice to the Indians in the state, instead of being called, oh, those are just a bunch of wannabes and fakes. And the people that have the federal cards in the state of Ohio keep saying, oh, well, state recognition isn't going to help you get anything, or it's not going to help you do anything. And it's not about getting money.
No, it isn't.
It's not about getting money. It's about legitimacy. It's about having a voice and having access to a process that is prohibited to anyone that's not federally recognized.
That's true, Scott. And it's so sad, because, well, just like talking about that Kate Emerson, she done everything she could do, but most people just ignored her, because all she was is we've got a word for it, and it's very unpleasant, and I don't like to use things like that. It was more of a joke. She was more of a joke than anything. But they called her camp dog. You know what camp dog means?
Yeah, I think so.
They just run around the camp, and they sleep anywhere that somebody let them lay down.
The saying that you were trying to tell me about was written by Pastor Martin Niemöller, and this is what he wrote. He said, "They came first for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. They then came for the Jews, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak up."
And I wish you would include that on your Facebook or wherever.
Oh yeah. I've posted that on Facebook at least once or twice in the past, but I'll post it again, because that is one of my favorite. Well, it
is me too.
Because it's so true. I mean, if you have someone like Guy Jones or Kenneth Irwin who are prominent in the state of Ohio, and they're going around saying, oh, well, this group's fake, or oh, this group's wannabe, or oh, this is just they're just descendants. They don't, they can't even get a CDIV card. They're basically doing the same thing that the eugenics boards were doing. They're doing the same thing that Task Force Cherokee is doing. They're guilty of persecuting Native American people.
Well, you see, now we've been trying to find a legal term, because most of this won't stand up in court. Nor in the white man's court, Most of it won't stand up. Because, see, if what I was telling you about spirituality? We got that spirituality in 1978 thing. We got the right for our own spirituality. But if you will notice that everything they write, they have never included any spiritual thing in it. Now you think about that.
Yeah, they're always geared around money. They always want to talk about who's getting money and who's not getting money.
See, they are trained. They are government plants. Now, do you remember the Belcourt brothers?
No.
Vernon and Clyde Belcourt?
No.
See, they were members of the old original AIM. And those boys meant to do right. Now, they started out to do right, okay? But the government interceded and told them, well, we'll give you money to start the school. I think it was up in Minnesota. And so they, in a sense, paid them off. Now, it was cheaper to pay them off than to try to hire agents to watch them, okay? So these people who are treating us like this are paid off to do so. And they are told not to say and do certain things. Okay? Because they never mention spirituality. Because they know that you have the grounds to move on them if they do.
Oh, well, NAFPS does. NAFPS stands for Native American Frauds and Plastic Shaman, and they were started by 4 nationals, 2 foreigners. One was Mexican, one was British, and they have inserted themselves into the Native community. They're not as prominently out there as before because they've been kicked off of various web servers like Yahoo for their racist and religionist viewpoints and trying to attack people. And but the philosophies that the NAFPS holds are directly involved with people who you'll find involved with AIM. I mean, on the NAFPS website, they even list off some of the AIM chapters that go into.
What do they call themselves?
NAFPS. NAF is in Frank. PS. It stands.
NAS.
No, NAF is in Frank.
F.
NAF.
Okay.
NAFPS.
NAFPS.
Right, and that stands for Native American Frauds and Plastic Shaman.
Well, see, I'm guilty of certain things, and I'm guilty of not saying anything. When certain people were taken down because they were frauds, okay? And I just stood by and didn't say anything. But the person basically was spreading poison and using it to capitalize on people and to feed on other people. Like they're parasites, okay?
Right.
And that's exactly what Guy Jones and Kenny Irwin and Mark Welch, they're parasites. They have to have a host to feed on. See, if you can make it on your own, you're okay. You can stand up. See, I made it on my own. I never had to feed on other individuals. But these people have to feed. They have to feed on the Eastern people and to make themselves look good. They're parasites. And when the host dies, what happens to them?
Right. They just have to move on to the next group of people.
So, I mean,
And that's what NAFPS does. That's what the Task Force Cherokee does. All these people, all these different groups of people who I call wannabe hunters, they do this constantly to try to make themselves look good or better than others. And most of the people in my particular family here in Texas, they don't deal with these issues because it's of no concern. It's of no great concern to them. They're concerned with surviving. They're concerned with raising their families.
Every day when we got up.
And being Indian, being Indian.
That's exactly what we did.
It's just a matter of fact. They don't question it. They don't. They're not seeking out cards from the government. They're not. They don't. There's no angst about it. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's what we were raised with.
That's exactly right.
And I am kind of an anomaly in my family here in North Texas because I am outspoken and trying to prove our heritage. Not because I don't know who I am. I know who I am.
I know that.
But because there are all these different groups of people out there who are constantly calling people like myself and you and the Saponi Nation of Ohio and the Tuolumne Cherokee wannabes, fakes, and frauds, I have a calling to stand up against those people because there's very few that will. There's very few.
I will.
Yeah,
it's just that something. I can't do it alone.
Exactly.
Very few of us can do this alone.
Exactly.
You have to have support, and you have to have more than one person. Yes. Now, I walked up in Kenny Irwin's face many years ago because what's her name? Anyway, from the Indian Center, told me, she said, the Council of Churches was having a meeting, something to do with legislation, and that Kenny Irwin was going to go there. I said, okay. I wasn't invited, but I think I'll go anyway. So I went. And Kenny started to question me, and I told him, you shut up. Looked him right to his face. I said, you know what? When you lick one set of boots, your tongue's already dirty, so you lick the next set of boots. I don't lick anybody's boots. And nobody tells me where I can go and what I can do. And Kenny never really caused me any grief. Not to my knowledge. He may have underneath, behind my back. But he never did, and I left him alone, okay? But, I can remember just standing right in his face, which I'll do that. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how important you are. I'll stand in your face and tell you. I have no problem with it whatever. Okay? So, but I can't do it alone.
Right. None of us can do these. None of us can stand up to these bullies on our own. And yet again, there's so many reasons why I do these interviews, but there's a lot of people out there that feel like they're alone. They feel like they get bullied by these folks, and these interviews are meant to help people out there, not just other Indian people, but the general public at large too, that might be interested in hearing what's going on, not just in Ohio, but all over the country. But it's a hope. I have a hope that these interviews will help people understand the issues and understand who is doing what to whom and what the motivations are behind these kinds of actions. That's what they need
to know right there is the magic word.
Yeah.
What has motivated these people to come into our homeland and presume that we are not legitimate? How do they make this presumption?
Right.
Now the Historical Society and the state and they all like to deal with these little carded Indians because they're Western Indians and they do not come down on the Historical Society like we do about having our people's remains up there. It's not their people. They don't take it serious. It's not their people, so they don't care. You understand?
Right. If they were going on at Wounded Knee, boy, there'd be an uproar.
Oh, they would. Yeah, they would be. But see, our people are scared, and I'll tell you, a lot of our people work. Now, see, this is another thing you have to understand. This is sort of a strange concept, but they actually work.
I work every day, standing on my feet 8 hours a day in a warehouse.
Okay.
And it's not fun.
I've always worked. My children work, okay? My daughter's up every morning tending those horses. She drives clear to Indiana to race this one horse. He's done real well this summer, okay? But she's up every day. And we have a track right here at the farm. She trains the horses right here. And she's very competitive. When she takes her horses away from this farm, they're very competitive. But she works every single day. My other daughter, she's a school teacher. She works every day. My son's a lawyer. He works every day. My second child, she's not working right now, but she worked for years. But she's not working right now. But she's living because she had 401k. She had all those savings. So she managed just to feed herself. She doesn't want anything. She's the most basic person you ever met. She just doesn't want things, okay? She's happy just to be here on the land and look back there and see her daughter has buffalo on the back of the farm. So we're all busy. My grandson makes somewhere like $80,000 a year. I mean, he works every day, but he makes in the neighborhood of $80,000 a year. Just things like that. We're a very productive family. And the horse trainer's daughter, she's like 4 weeks away from getting her master's degree. Okay, so we do okay. We've never had money, Scott. We've never had money. We have had honor. We've always been honorable people. And my family has honor because they do not make themselves, they're not beggars, and they're not bad-natured people. We have a lot of honor. We have several degrees in this family. I'll tell you what, when you hang them on the wall, it's very impressive. Now, I'm not educated, you understand. I was always poor and just public school, which they beat the hell out of me. I was the punching bag, and but that's okay because we're honorable people, and you're either honorable or you're not, and we're dealing with people who are not honorable. And how do we control them? How do we stop this? How do we influence people to step forward and say who they are and to stop taking this kind of crap? I don't know how to get to them. I mailed out 125 letters. I sent you a copy. You'll read it. And I didn't want people to show up that had families, that it would stress their family. I didn't want people to show up who it would cost them their job if they got arrested. I didn't, because they have to work and they have to feed their family, okay?
Right.
And some people have jobs that if they got arrested, it would cost them their job, okay?
Yeah.
So I was careful to make sure that people understood that. But I wanted people that could stand on the front line if they could spend a day in jail if they had to. And we had, I don't know, a little better than 25. We had 28 people, I think. Now, those are the people who showed up, but they were very handsome people. Well-dressed, clear-eyed, straight vision, look you right in the eye. And we had 4 veterans in that bunch. And I was proud of them. Because now if they got arrested, they said they didn't care. Yes, they could be absent. They didn't have small children. So this is what we've done. We've tried to say people who have sensitive jobs do not show up. People who have small children that you couldn't be away from don't come. So we ended up with 25 people out of 125. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's really good. And I've been talking off and on with a girl named Amy Carlson, who is a daughter-in-law for Guy Jones, and a Charles Walker, who somehow is related to to Guy Jones. And like I've always told people, I might dislike someone quite a bit, but I can always listen to all sides of any issues that are out there. And I definitely want people to know and understand that these interviews that I'm doing bottom line, it's not about an attack. It's about talking and discussing about what's going on in Ohio. It's about trying to figure out what we can do to alleviate these problems. And I'll say it again, like we were talking about earlier with forgiveness. If Guy Jones, Kenneth Irwin, or Kay Jimerson, or the NACO Center, or any of the other groups of people or persons in Ohio that are going around causing a lot of these problems, if they truly are spiritual and spiritually minded people, and they want to if they want to have unity in the Native American community like they preach, then they need to sit down with the people that they have offended, and they need to work out some types of compromises, because other than that, it's just going to be fight after fight after fight, and it's not going to change, because you're not going away, I'm not going away, the Tuolumne Cherokee and the Saponi Nation of Ohio are not going away, the UKB's not going away, none of us are going away just because they call us wannabes.
No. We're not going to stop having children.
Yeah, life goes on, and we are who we are. Our peoples are covered under treaties, and we're going to press for our right to say that we're Native Americans.
Well, what do you think these people are going to do right here on my farm, who are being raised and being educated?
They're going to stand up eventually.
Now, because they're being educated, they're not going to forget who they are.
Exactly.
But we're sending them to school. And now I'll tell you something about this. Well, I prefer this not in the interview. Couldn't you cut it out?
Sure. Let me pause it. Hang on just a second.